happen to use extracellular vesicles, but it's not the detection of the vesicles that's the magic. The magic is detecting what the vesicles are carrying through the blood-brain barrier.
Yeah, very good. What's the greatest piece of leadership advice you've ever received?
Yeah, that's a great question. I worked for a CEO once who said to me, "Wow, you're a really, really good manager, and someday you're going to really be great." And I said, "Okay." His name was Doug, and I said, "Okay, Doug, I need the rest of that story. I'm happy that I'm good, but what does it take to be great?" And he said, "Well, you just have to remember, as soon as you realize everyone's not like you're going to really be able to lead and manage even better than you do now." And there's just a lot of wisdom in that. There's a tendency to think that everybody thinks the way you think, that your logic is the logic of everybody else. That people, if you're an independent worker, that others should want to work independent, and that's just not different. I think as a leader and a manager, you need to be a chameleon, and you need to manage each situation and each person to their to the best of their abilities, and really put people in positions where they can succeed. So that'd be number one. And then the second one would be, from a leadership standpoint, I had one person say to me that the real role of a chief executive officer should be called chief alignment officer. And that really is the most important role of the CEO. You need to make sure your investors, your board, your management, your employees, even when you get out to customers, everyone's aligned on what it is you're trying to accomplish and aligned on how you're going to accomplish it. Are you a company that is rough and tumble, and you kind of go into meetings and they're people are yelling? That's okay if everyone's aligned behind that, and they don't take it personal. It's not my style, but it can certainly work and has worked. You need to have like-minded people, and you need to be aligned behind the same goals, and you just can't communicate those goals enough. You need to remember you're thinking about it every day, but you might only be meeting with your board every 6 or 8 weeks, and they might not remember everything from one to the other. They got a lot of other board meetings going on in between. And the same is true if you have company meetings once a month. People might forget those. You need to be just constantly re-emphasizing and supporting the mission of the company and the goals, and living the values. I've never been a big believer in posting your values in conference rooms, because in my experience in bigger companies, when the values are posted, people are laughing at them because they're not really your values. It's what you want your values to be. And I'd rather be able to talk to somebody in the hallway and say, "What are our values?" without telling them what they are, and for them to tell me what they are based on what they're experiencing.
Oh, also true. I mean, yeah, there were a couple things that you said there that really resonate with me as well. That some of the greatest CEOs that I've known, I feel like are great at extracting the greatness out of people around them, and just constantly sort of wringing more and more out of the people that they have, which is amazing to watch. Somebody just completely, that they know the fundamental answer of, for what it is that they're asking about, but at the same time they're counting on the person that has the most recent expertise and that's supposed to provide that knowledge,
Right.
back to the individuals as well. And so the greatest people at doing that are just amazing. And yeah, so I completely agree with you. It's something, to do that, but also to have people see the values of a company being actually lived out, as an example, so that they're not having to memorize something as well, for a company. Yeah, also true.
Yep.
What inspires you?
A couple of things. I mean, you just said it better than I can. People inspire me. And usually those people, as you define them, they tend to be extraordinarily positive people, and they typically dream big dreams,
Mm.
and then they go make it happen. And in the face of adversity, they're even more positive, and they're even more supportive. And I find that just extraordinarily inspiring, and to be pursuing big dreams that seem impossible. I think in order, if you're starting a company, and you're at that early stage, and you're going after, in the case of Sunbird, we're really trying to change the world of people with neurological disease, of which there are at least 50 million people around the world. That's an extraordinary dream for a little company to be trying to. I mean, we have no right to think that we can do something like that, except we can, and we are, because we're just focused and positive, and like I am truly blessed to be working with the greatest scientific team, business people that I've ever been associated with, and we're dreaming big dreams, and that's how you make them happen. It doesn't happen if you don't try.
Absolutely. What concerns you?
Everything. I've always I've always said, people have said, "What's it take to kind of be a startup CEO?" And my answer is, you have to be just extraordinarily optimistic. For all the reasons I just mentioned, you're dreaming big dreams. You have to be an optimist, and then you have to be paranoid too. And it sounds like those two attributes are contrary, but they're really not. If you're paranoid and you're worried about everything that's going to go wrong, it probably won't go wrong, because you're going to predict it, and you're going to get a plan and prevent what the problem may be. So yeah, no, I worry about every little detail, and really try to think about what can go wrong. I even, a couple of times of the year, kind of go off on my own. It's a program where I sit down and I say, okay, well, if I was joining this company in my role from the outside, what would I do? And it's my way of trying to break out of the, don't just keep doing it because it was your idea and you think you're stuck on a path. If something's not right, I want to be the one to fix it, and not my successor. And it's part of the, be paranoid and worry about the details, not just the big stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Last question, what excites you?
Oh, the possibilities. It's we're at, it's like in all of medicine. I mean, we're still at the very beginning. I mean, this is going to be going on for a long time, hundreds of years. Future podcasts, whatever they're going to call them, are going to be talking some of the same things that we're talking about today. And it's just so exciting right now, as the speed of medicine advances, for us to be focused on neurological disease, which is no doubt the next great frontier that we're starting to see conquered in the very earliest stages. It's just exciting and an honor to be a part of it. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like there's a lot that's coming together at the same time that's only going to benefit this area as well, right? I mean, you mentioned AI earlier, and yeah, just think about all of the challenges that we've had, and the fact that you can sort of lay them out and say, hey, look, there's a possibility that these comorbidities actually could influence this one thing. Why not apply, some form of computing power to figuring out, how all of those pieces fit together. So yeah.
No question. And then the data that's being captured, whether it's proteomics, and there's so much data being captured around the world, and being able to apply it. I mean, today we're talking comorbidities of these diseases, but there's other factors going on that's causing all of this. And I think we're going to see the next wave, a lot going on. A lot of times it's under the category of aging, and trying to prevent aging. Well, really, what we're doing in neurology is a big part of the aging process, and the first wave of breakthroughs associated with all of that work. And it's being driven by data.
Absolutely. Well, John McDonough, thank you so much for being on the Life Science Success Podcast. I greatly appreciate you being here and for sharing the story about Sunbird Bio. Thanks a lot for, all the work that you're doing. I know it's not easy. And, I just wanted to also, just acknowledge the hard work that you and your team must be putting in.
Well, thank you, Don. Real pleasure to talk to you today, and I enjoyed the discussion a lot.
Thanks a lot. Thank you for listening to Life Science Success. For complete details about this podcast, including show notes, how to get in touch with guests, and more episodes, please visit www.lifesciencesuccess.com. If there's someone you'd like for us to invite to the show as a guest, please let me know by sending me a message at the podcast website.